Hi guys, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs, and I'm here with part 3 of your file folder journal. And I want to apologize for the cutout at the end of the part 2. For some reason my camera just shut off, but it was at the very end, and I only did one more thing after that. So this is basically going to be a flip through, but I'm also going to, in the beginning, just let people know that watch part 1 and 2 what they missed in the last part of part 2. So I'm making it part 3 and a flip through. If you don't want to watch the end of part 3, which will be very short, you can just go straight fast forward to the flip through. Anyway, let me just go over what we missed in the part 2 of making our little file folder journal. And also, for any of you interested, I will put that link in my description box so that you guys can see that if you want, and it's in my playlist also. Okay, so we made this, and this is how it ended up, and you didn't get to see the finished product, but that's what we're going to do the flip through for. But what you missed is it had cut off right when we were tying in this last traveler's notebook insert, and basically all we were doing was tying this in. We had already put our eyelets in, we had already put the first one in, and then we were just tying that in. Okay, so after that, the only other thing that I did that you missed is I added on some lace, and I added on our closure, and I just wanted to go over that real quick. Now remember, we used micropore on this side, and we had sari silk on the other side to reinforce all of our seams. And what we did here, though, is this side's the micropore on the outside, and I inked it up, and that would have looked just fine, and it probably would have been structurally just fine. But I just decided I wanted to put some lace on here, and if you watch part 1 and 2, I said I wasn't real sure what I was going to do, and I usually don't know what I'm going to do until I'm completely done and I look at the journal. Anyway, so I added lace to all 3, and they're similar but not the same, and that's kind of how, if you watched any of my videos, how I like to do things. I like things to coordinate, but I don't like them to match. Anyway, so I made sure that each piece of lace was big enough to cover the seam, and that it wouldn't pop up. In other words, you wouldn't want it to end right here and then, keep popping up. It goes over. So basically, I just put some 3-in-1 glue down and glued it down here, and made sure it wasn't right on the seam. Paid attention to where it was on our paper. And then the closure, the only thing that I did a little different there is I decided to put this twine for a closure because I thought it went really well with the burlap and the kind of rustic look. So I glued this down, but first, whenever you do that, you want to always make sure that you kind of audition it and put it. This was our largest. This was our largest space that we had for our spine. This was the 3/4 inch one. Okay, so what I did is you want to put it where you think it's going to be, and then just kind of audition where it's going to be, how much you're going to need. Otherwise, it's really easy to put it on there crooked, which I've done many times. So then you figured out how you wanted it, tie your bow or whatever. Okay, so then after I did that and I knew how much I needed where, I went ahead and just put my 3-in-1 glue down, and this is before I put the lace. And then I took a little piece of fabric and I cut it to fit just basically right over here, just so that I could have that covering my twine and put glue on there, glued it up pretty good. And then on top of that, that's when I put my lace. And you all remember that we did have our eyelets under here that we punched, and I covered up the eyelets, and it also covers up your elastic that we had under there. Now, that makes the elastic pieces permanent, but it does not make your inserts permanent. They can still come in and out, because even though this is now permanently in there and your lace is covering your eyelets, and that actually helps reinforce, keep that in there, and then also keeps this structurally in there. And I did put a dab of glue on my knots. I always do that just so they won't come loose. But anyway, so even though this is now permanent, this is not. So that's the important part. This is the part you want to be able to take in and out and reuse. So that is what I did. So that was pretty much all anybody missed. So I think at this point, we'll go ahead and do the flip through, even though if you've been here this long, you've pretty much seen the whole thing. So, but we're going to go ahead and start it and show people what we did. And you can see it from start to finish, which is not a lot, guys. Okay, so this is just a little traveler's notebook that I made that you can put your inserts in and out, that are made out of a file folder. And the size of this is simply your standard 4.5 by 8.5, and that's to be able to accommodate your standard size insert. The outside of this is covered with beeswax, and that is just this front portion and this back portion. The rest of it does not have a beeswax cover, and I did do that in the part 2, so hopefully you guys will, if you look at that, you'll see how we did it. It's fairly easy. Okay, so we have just basically our scrapbook paper on the outside. I used 4 pieces of scrapbook paper that had coordinating patterns for front and back that I got out of one paper pad, and I just cut out different pieces to make it, you know, somewhat coordinate, but again, not match. And this cover just has an additional things added to it. It has just has a little bit of music paper. Then here we have a little bit of burlap that's been frayed, and then on top of that I put a little bit. I had bought this on at a charity shop. I bought it was quite a bit of, maybe about 2 yards of needlepoint material, and I thought that would work really well for things like this, and it does, because it's very stiff and then you can fray it. So I put that on there and inked it up, and then I just put use your wings, and I have a butterfly there and a butterfly there. And I also, here, let me open this up so you can see it. I also have some flower stickers behind in the background, but I also, on top of that, added a few little Tim Holtz botanical ephemera, because they're a little bit thicker, and I thought what that did is it added some dimension to this, so it was really not just one dimensional. And so this does have beeswax on top, on the non-material parts of it, so it is sealed, and it does have beeswax on the back. So this is, you know, structurally this is it, you know, it's pretty I mean, I wouldn't dunk it in water, but it would be okay if you get a little water on it, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so then on the inside you'll see that it has a little pouch, and this is up in the front, little pocket, and you can put quite a bit in here. I don't know what all you'd want to put in here, maybe notes, things like that. I just put tags in here just to give you guys an idea of what was in there. And then you have a couple of pockets on the side, You open it up again, and you have some more pockets with more room over here to put things if you like. And then you open it up, and this is where you have your traveler's notebooks. I have one that I put in there that's a monthly planner, and it does have writing space in it also. And on the other side, I have one that's just lined, so you could just use that to journal in. Both of them are attached with an eyelet on the top and the bottom and elastic. This part is sari silk that we put in to reinforce the folder. And on the other side, underneath the lace, is the micropore tape. And on top of that is lace. And that's to make this to where the top is not going to tear. It's not going to break. And this is something that will last a long time, because it is going through the sari silk and the micropore. And then on the back of it, you've got the lace also that's reinforcing it. So this is, the elastic's permanently in there, but you can insert new, put new inserts in anytime you use those up. And then in the very back, you still have more room where you have a double pocket here. All of the papers are all just coordinating. They don't match, but they kind of go together well, and I think it makes a cute look. And then basically all you do is you just put that down there, put that here, go like that, shut it like that, and you have a very compact, nice little traveler's notebook to take with you. And it actually, you know, holds a lot and is very comfortable. And you know, and I did attach this just because, I don't know, I may have already said this. In my mind, I always wind up losing them if they're loose, if I'm carrying it around with me. But anyway, guys, that's it. That's all there is to it. So I will put my number 1 and 2 of how we made this. I'll link it with this video if anyone's interested. And if you got any value out of this, I hope you like and subscribe, and I hope it did give some people some inspiration. Thank you.